Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. So, today is a little different. A couple of weeks ago, I told you all that I wanted to start doing episode swaps with other podcast hosts who I have been a guest on their show and they've been a guest on my show, just so that you all can hear me being interviewed by someone else and talking about what it is that I do because on my show, you always hear me interviewing others. So today's episode is from Bliss This House Home Organization with Maria Grove. She's been a guest on the show twice, and I've been a guest on her show twice. And so today I have the audio of her podcast that I did with her. So I'm going to play that for you all, and then I'll also link her show into the show notes as well. I definitely recommend that you all check out her show. It's a really great show. She has some amazing guests on there. So I hope you all enjoy.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us today. I have a special repeat guest. I'm so excited. Angel Wilborn is a wonderful guest that we had on a little while ago. We talked about how best to start habits. And we got friendly. We are fellow Potterheads. She's a Gryffindor. I'm a Hufflepuff. And we got friendly and we've been, connecting. She has an amazing podcast that I listen to. And what's wonderful about her is that she is a VA and she is kicking tail and taking names and really a wonderful entrepreneur. So I wanted to invite her back on so that we could talk about how to organize for the entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur, and she has given me some wonderful advice over the last couple of months. And so I thought it would be wonderful to have Angel come on as the expert, give us some tips and tricks. And so welcome back, Angel.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm so excited to be back here again. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is great. I'm so excited. It's nice to have a friend on.
Yes, it is. And I love talking organization. It makes me excited.
So I know the last time you were on, we geeked out about organization and you had some amazing tips and tricks for organization and starting good habits. And one of them was a time audit, which I have actually started using in my practice with clients. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome. Yay.
yeah, it was just like the extra step that I didn't have in my process. So it was perfect.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
so I wanted to have you back on because your business, you run a successful virtual assistant company. So, and PR organization. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you help businesses get organized.
Okay, definitely. So yeah, so I started off, virtual assistant organizing businesses, and I've shifted a little bit more to just focusing more on the PR aspect of it now, but I am still all about like organizing and having plans and systems and stuff like that in place. And I believe that like if your business isn't organized, then nothing's really organized because that's when you're just kind of running in circles and you're accomplishing everything, but you're actually accomplishing nothing at all. And that's when you just realize that you have the never ending to do list going on, or you're like, oh, okay, I finished that project, but no, I really didn't finish that project. And so I think and I believe that in order to be successful in your business, you first have to get organized and get those systems in place. And you need to do a time audit on yourself for your business, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the systems that someone who is just starting out owning a company, starting a business, an organizing business, a VA business, a hair salon, any kind of business? I mean, employing people, not employing people. What are some of the systems that people need to get in place to get started?
Okay. So again, I'm really big on like to-do list and task managers and having like a calendar to see. So I'm old school. I do like my paper and pencil planner to put down what's going on in my week. Someone has actually recently turned me on to Asana, and it has a free version and a paid version. I'm using the free version, and the free version has like a large amount of tools and resources that you can use without needing the paid version. Of course, with the paid version, it comes more, but I think that the free version is just great for anyone that's just starting out because in the free version, You can set up different projects. So I have a couple of different projects going on. Like I have my content calendar in there for the month of April. And then I have individual projects for things that I'm working on and when I want something to come out. I also have my task in there. And some of my tasks are things once when I did my time audit, I realized that okay, these are tasks that I need to have done every week. So I can set those tasks like on Wednesdays, I edit. I don't know if it's actually Wednesday or not because I haven't looked at my calendar, but I'm just using that as an example. Wednesdays, I edit. So I'll put that in my calendar. So every Wednesday it repeats that on Wednesdays I edit. If I know once a month on Mondays that's when I'm going to sit down and write all of my podcast episodes for the month, then I have it set to repeat for that once a month on Monday. So that's one thing that you can do is to see, and that'll help you figure out where you're spending your time at, what may need more time, what may need less time. And that's great tool because it has an app. So you can carry it on the go. Where, like I said, I'm old school. I like my paper and my pencil, but you may not always have that with it. Asana, you download the app, you can pull it right back up for you
Mhm.
as well. Another thing is try to get systems that talk to each other or that are at least that like each other a little bit. Like when I started with my email marketing, I had a system and I use Canva a lot for my business, which helps me to keep organized and it helps me to stay on top of things because I can create a template for something and then I can just use that template over and over again for whatever it is that I'm doing. And so the email marketing system that I chose, which was MailerLite, it connects with Canva. So when I create something in Canva, I can just my MailerLite account is already set so I can create share to MailerLite. And then when I go in there, I don't have to worry about downloading the picture and then uploading it into MailerLite and then putting it in there. I just have to plop it into what I want. And that helps to save time. So it's all about getting things automated and finding the things that you can kind of set and forget or that you can schedule out and not have to worry about it.
Oh, I love that. I use Canva myself. I'm the Canva queen.
Yes.
I actually was working with a business coach and she was encouraging me to start using Canva. She wanted me to start doing some marketing and creation. And Canva, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a creative director on your computer. You can do some graphic design and it's easy point and click and you can change all the pictures out and everything. And I started looking at Canva and I said, I'm gonna have to hire somebody to do my Canva. Like unbelievable. Like I really can't figure this out. And then I just dug in and learned how to do
Mhm.
it. And now I create Canva on the fly. Like I can do it while I'm driving.
It's super easy and it has the app on the phone as well. And so sometimes like I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh, I wanted to tweak this right quick. And so I can just pull it up on my phone and I can tweak it. Now, I do pay for Canva because I like the fact that you can connect it to your social media. And so you can schedule it on your social media because I'm not a big fan of social media. And again, I hate the whole having to download and then upload it. And I feel like it just takes so much time, and that's time that I could be doing something else. Whereas on Canva, you have the system where, okay, I just created this great graphic or this great post or whatever it is. Now I can just go ahead, if you have the paid version of it, I can go to my content scheduler, upload it, right, click on it right there, latest project, type in my caption, and then set it for whatever day that I want it and forget about like half the time I forget that I've even set a social media post and then I'll have like all these notifications that someone liked my post and I'm like, I didn't post anything today. What is everyone liking? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I set that
This
for
is this is Angel having her breakfast, and she's like,
right.
I'm eating my breakfast. I didn't post anything.
I mean, literally, that has literally happened. I'm like, I wasn't even on Instagram today. When did that? And I'm like, oh, post that I said 3 weeks ago and completely forgot about it. And so those are things that people may not look at as organization, but it is because that's one less thing that you have on your to-do list. So if you can sit down, so again, going back to like using Asana, if you can say that, okay, on the first Tuesday of every month, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go into Canva and I'm going to create my content for the whole month. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to go and I'm going to schedule it out for the whole month. Like that's a way to get organized. That's a task that you have. And you know that that's one less thing that you have to do throughout the month, especially if you're someone who doesn't like being on social media. That would be considered a task that's not as exciting to you, and it can keep you from delaying yourself from doing other tasks that are more exciting to you because you're dreading it. But if you set that time aside for it, you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to worry about this for another month or for another 2 weeks, however you want to set your time for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Automation is so important. When everybody is busy, most business owners that I know are also parents.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and you run your business, and then you go home, and then you have to be a parent, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to be present, so you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be on your phone posting and doing things and working on it. And as an entrepreneur, you are 24/7. You're always available, you're always thinking about it. You really can't put it down, but you
Right.
also want to be present for your family. So
Yes.
automation is like key for that.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. And another thing that I also do is, I guess it's kind of like automation, but I guess it would be more so like templates. So with my podcast, I have 3 different emails that usually go out to people. I have the thank you for, agreeing to be a guest on the podcast. Here are the questions that we'll ask. Well, I have everything except for the questions. That's already an email that I have typed out. So then when I'm getting ready to send it, I just go in and I put, "Hi Maria, thank you so much for being a guest." I put your name in there and then I say, "Hey, here are the questions that I'm going to be asking you just so that you can get a feel." And I send it. But by me already having that pre-typed up, I'm saving myself the time of having to go in and type that extra paragraph. And then after the episode airs, or when the episode is getting ready to air, I have another email that goes out. With that email, all I literally have to do with that email is just add in the person's name, add in the link for their episode, and add in the date that it's going to record. So 3 things that's going to take me less than 2 minutes to do because the email is already there. It's ready to go. And I send it out. I copy and I paste it. I have it saved in my draft folders. I copy and I paste it, insert those 3 things, and I send it out. So I'm saving myself time there because I already have that. So if it's an email that you know that you're going to be constantly sending out all the time, go ahead and fine tune that, get that set up as a template so that you already have there. You just have to put the name into it, and there you go. And also another thing that I do, I make sure that my scheduling system, my Calendly, is connected to my Gmail calendar. So whenever I if I schedule something on my calendar, it'll automatically block it out on my scheduling app so that no one can book that time. Or when I somebody books something with me, it automatically goes to my calendar. So I'm not trying to go back and figure out, okay, what was this person doing? Like, was I supposed to do this? Was I supposed to do that? So that helps as well.
Absolutely. And I have been the recipient of those emails from you, Angel, and they are like they're so inspiring. As a business owner, I was like, girl, I need to do that. I need to send an email like that. Like usually I record a podcast and I'm all like, yeah, podcasts are going out. But you always capitalize on the podcast afterwards. Like you really think about, here's the graphic that I'm sending you that I've created, here's when it's going out. I tried to do that after we interacted. I was on your podcast, and you sent me that link and you sent me the graphic, and then I started doing that as like a practice, and then I admit I've fallen out of practice with it. I need to get better at it. But it's just was so organized.
No,
I really applaud you.
no, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And see, that's something else that, like I said, with Canva, I created those. I just created the template in Canva. And so what I did was for like the audiogram that I sent you, I have in Canva under my templates, I have one that's labeled audiogram left, audiogram right. So depending on the person's picture of the angle, because I was on the yearbook staff when I was in high school many, many moons ago. And I have a thing about pictures facing off of the page. Like it has to be facing towards, the writing and stuff, because we got in trouble for that all the time. So depending on how the person's picture is, I know whether I need to use the left audiogram or the right audiogram. And then I just drop the picture in there, change the title, change the person's name, and that's it. I used to try to be really fancy with it. And I don't know if you paid attention, but at the bottom of the audiogram, it has like the little bar that looks like you're listening to it. And so I used to like try to be really fancy and change the minutes that it was so that it would reflect how long the actual episode was. And I was like, no, that's just too much. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it like that. But I bulk record, and I know that you bulk record as well. So that's something else that I have added on my task to do, is that I set aside time. Like, I was doing every week at one time, and then I think I went to every other week to create my content for my podcast. So that's when I go in and I create all that stuff. So like, and then I have a day to send out emails to people who are on the podcast to let them know, so that when you do stuff like that, when you get organized like that, you don't realize that you're saving yourself time, because you're not jumping from one thing to another. You're focusing on the task that's at hand, and that's leaving less room for error versus if I was like, okay, I just recorded. Now I have to sit here and edit. I have to sit here and get this audiogram. I have to sit here and get this content out. Okay, well, it's 5:46 now when we're recording. I'm not cooking dinner tonight. My husband's picking up dinner, but if I was having to, cook dinner or do homework with my child, it's like, okay, I need to get all this, and I'd probably like to sleep at some point in time as well. So when you're trying to do all of that, you're jumping back and forth between things, versus if you just set aside time to do it, and then you're done with that and you can move on. And when you're working on the next thing, you're not sitting there thinking about, well, did I send that out? Was it done? And I have myself a checklist for it. Like I have a podcast checklist for when I send out for when I record with someone. So when someone records with me, they send me their guest form, and I have that. And then I create the questions. And then on top of that, I do my podcast checklist. And as I'm doing stuff, I check it off. And then once I'm done with it, I move it to my done file so that I don't have to look at it anymore. I don't have to wonder if it's done or not.
And what you do is so brilliant because you send the image, of you and the guest afterwards, advertising the podcast that's coming up, your podcast, and you send it to the guest, and then they post it on their social media. So they're advertising for you. And as a small business, as a podcaster, you're trying to be an influencer, trying to be a small business owner, free media is earned media.
Yep,
It's important,
it
and
is.
so those opportunities, as a business owner, you have to look for those things and let other people work for you.
Right, exactly. And I love that you brought up earned media. I actually have a course about that, about what earned media is and how, you can get earned media. And as you said, as a small business, that's a great way to be able to get it. Like, and, just a little tip for anyone out there, not about organization, but just, if you're on someone's podcast, like if someone has offered you the opportunity to come onto their platform and speak, just share the episode. Like, you're probably already posting on social media anyways, whether you have a podcast, you don't have a podcast, it'll take you 2 seconds, 30 seconds, to be like, hey, thank you so much to Maria for having me on Bliss This House podcast. Everyone go check out the episode. So now you're helping her out, because they put you on their platform, so you can do the same and put them on your platform. So both of you are getting that earned media.
Oh, love that reciprocity. It's so great. It's, that's the goal of that,
Right.
absolutely. So let's
Yes.
switch gears and talk about CRMs if we could.
Okay.
So what is a CRM, and how can someone in a small business use it to the best of their advantage?
Okay, so a CRM is a client relationship management system.
Right.
Oh, I'm like, oh, I gotta get.
So what does the R stand for?
Yeah, I'm like, what is it? That, I feel like that R is so weird. Like it goes together, but I feel like it doesn't really go together. So that's what a CRM is, and you can use it. So I want to say it depends on what your business is as well, because there are a lot of CRMs out there. And they do the same things, but they do different things as well. So you have to find the one that works best for you. So as I said, it's a client relationship management system. So CRMs are really good for like people who are virtual assistants or people who are coaches or who offer like one-on-one services or even like I know a lot because you brought up like hairstylists earlier. I know a lot of hairstylists they use what's called Style Seat, which that can be considered a CRM as well. And that's a way to keep track of your clients, keep track of whether you've sent them out invoices, whether they sent out contracts, so kind of what stage they're in. So I know one that I used before was Desabo. I played around with a couple of them, but Desabo was one that I used. And so, and a lot of them are similar to this, is that it'll show you, okay, this person's in your queue, they're a lead. Then you can set your systems up in place, your automations up in place to say when X, Y, and Z happens, that moves this person over to this spot. So you can say, okay, this person is a warm lead. But once I make contact with them twice and they schedule a meeting, now they moved over to a hot lead. And then okay, I made this contact with them. Now we've set up a schedule. So now they moved over to the pre-client phase. And then that's where you can start sending out your contracts and sending out your invoices and typing up your notes. And in CRMs, all of the CRMs, like I said, I've played around with a lot of them because I'm just that person that I like to know things and I like to make sure that I'm making the best informed decision. So I've probably done a free trial for most of the CRMs out there trying to figure out which one works best for me, and that one just happened to stick out the most for me. But you can go ahead and have your contracts out there. So it's again, it's a template where you put your contract in there and you type up the verbiage, and then once you get a new client, you just need to go in and drop in, okay, hi Maria, below are the terms that we discussed, and drop the terms in there. You're not typing up a whole new contract each time. And then once you drop that in there, that's going to automatically go out to Maria, and then she's going to sign it, and then it's going to come back to you. And then you have it in place that once she signs the contract, that's when the invoice goes out, and then she pays the invoice, and then you get an alert, and then you go from there. And you can have a whole welcome sequence of automations going out before you ever even have to talk to the person for the first time. And that's so helpful because again, it's something that you're doing that's repetitive. And so there's no reason for you to keep doing that over and over again. And it helps you. And then having a CRM, you're keeping all your clients in one place. You have all of their information in one place. You can take notes in CRMs. Some CRMs do allow you to connect to like the different scheduling services out there. So you can have that connected in there. Some of them may even do like email marketing. It might be a little lower level email marketing, but some of them allow for you to do email marketing. So you have a lot of the information that you need in one place, which goes back to that organization. So when you get ready to go meet, when I get ready to meet with Maria, I'm not sitting here saying, let me find her file. What did we talk about the last time? Because after we talked the last time, I went and I put our notes under her client profile in my CRM. So now I can go back to that. And even before we connect again, I've already sent her out an automated email that says, hey, don't forget we have a call coming up and this is what you need to prepare for on the next call.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I love about like my hairstylist or, the person who does my nails or whatever is that I always get like I get um a reminder, I get a confirmation of my appointment, and then I get a reminder like the day of my appointment, and it says, "See you
Yes,
soon, Maria," kind of thing. And I
right,
really like those. And, as someone who is traveling to someone's house, like you're a virtual assistant, so you do a lot of stuff from your home, but I'm going to people's houses. And I've been very lucky because most people remember that we have an appointment, and I do follow up. I do like an email or a call or a text, the day before, and I say that. But it would be so great to have something automated like, Angel, don't forget we've got our 2-hour tidy session tomorrow. Looking
right.
forward to it. See you tomorrow, kind of thing. That that for me, I admit that I don't use a CRM. I'm still small enough that I feel like it's not necessary, but I'm definitely getting to the point where I'm thinking like, wow, I really should be using one.
Mm.
For the automation alone.
Right.
Um, and you know what you were saying about like the automation, I did have a circumstance where I have a sequence where I speak to a client, I make notes. After I speak to the client, I send them my contract, then I send them the invoice. I do all that myself, and it takes a few minutes. I have the templates on my computer, but it takes a few minutes and everything. But there was one client that I didn't send a contract to. I just forgot. Like I
Mhm.
just skipped that step. And they actually, after I did the job, they actually fought me on my payment.
Oh, wow. Because you
And because
yeah.
because and if I had sent them the contract, they would have known what my fee was.
Right.
We talked about it, but they fought me on it afterwards.
Right.
And so if I had had the contract, then I could have enforced it. And I said, "No, you see, you signed this contract, so this is, my fee."
Right.
So it was completely my fault. Like I didn't send the contract. So and that was when I started thinking like, maybe a CRM is really where I should be going.
And see, so 2 things that you said. So and you don't have to have a CRM because like you said, you're still small enough that you don't have to have one. I even don't have like a CRM to that extent. Like I said, I've played around in different ones before, but I was like, okay, I I can get by without having it right now at this moment. And so for reminders, like I said, do you use a scheduling app, right? Yeah, because we schedule ours
Yeah, I
through a
use
quick.
Calendly or
Yeah,
Calendly.
yeah, I can never get that one right. I say it different every time I say it, but in that one, you can go in there and you can set up reminders to say, "Oh, hey, in 30 minutes, we have this appointment coming up, or in 1 hour, we have that coming up." So I think I actually got a reminder, or maybe that would just might have been for my calendar because I also have my calendar. But you can go into a Calendly. We're going to learn how to say this one day. Oh, someone, please tell us how to properly say this. But you can go in there and set it up for
Calendly, if you're listening, please sponsor me and teach me how
Yes.
to spell it.
We promise we'll say it right if you sponsor both of us, please. And but you can go in there, you can set it to like send out a reminder to people to say, hey, don't forget that we have this appointment coming up. Or if you don't want to do that, something that I did before I was using that app was I would set up a reminder when I first started like bulk recording. um, I would just go in and I have an email typed up and it would just say again like my templates, and I just throw in there, hey Maria, just wanted to confirm that we're still on to record, tomorrow at such and such time, and then or that we're still on to record on March 31st at 2 o'clock PM. And then I would just have it scheduled out. Like I would schedule it out. So I do it on a Wednesday, and then I would schedule it to send like that Saturday or early that Sunday morning or something like that. So you can do that as well. And then also with your CRM, because I know that, as a small business owner, money's tight. So you have to find out, okay, what platform is going to give me the most return on my investment when it comes to, me using it. Like I would love to have the CRM, but right now I need this other tool and that's where I need to spend my money on. So something that you could do is, like I said, something similar with how I have my podcast checklist, and I just attach that to the front of everything, and I go down and I check it off as I do it, because when you get in a routine of doing something, you do forget stuff, and then you're like, oh, like you did with the contract, you're like, oh, I forgot this in the contract, because it's such a habit for you
Mhm.
that you're on automation even though you don't have automation set up. So just creating that checklist, and just automatically as soon as you get a new client, you pull that checklist out, you have a stack of them sitting beside you, you get that new client, you write their name on the top of it, and then you start going down that checklist, and you don't put that checklist out of sight until everything on it is marked off.
I love that, a checklist. So, what is a virtual assistant and what can a virtual assistant do for people? Because there are so many people who have come out in and started companies as virtual assistants, and virtual assistants run the range of PR to marketing to podcast editing to, I mean, there's so many things that virtual assistants can do. So can you talk to us a little bit about virtual assistants and how they can help small business?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I did. I started out as a virtual assistant, and when I started out as a virtual assistant, I didn't really have a niche for what I was doing. I was just like, okay, virtual assistant, make a little extra money, like cool, let's do this. And then as I got into like different virtual assistant groups, I would see that, as Maria said, there'd be people saying, well, I need a podcasting virtual assistant, or I need a marketing virtual assistant, or I need a virtual assistant who's good with social media. So you can have a unicorn virtual assistant who's just someone that can, it's just a Jill of all trades or jack of all trades and can just do it all. Or if your business is podcasting, you can look for someone who is a podcasting virtual assistant. So they'll help with your editing. They may do your social media content. They will type up your show notes for you. They'll turn it into blogs for you. If you're looking for just a strictly social media virtual assistant, maybe you don't want to be bothered at all with having to learn how to use Canva or having to schedule anything. So you get your social media virtual assistant to do it. If you had just want a virtual assistant to help manage your calendar, like any tool, anything that you would think of that, an assistant would do sitting in person, like a virtual assistant can do it. And pretty much any niche that you're in, you can find a virtual assistant to do that. People get virtual assistants just to take a couple of tasks off of their plate. Like when I was heavy into doing the virtual assistant, my platform was we're better together. And I focus on doing the things that you don't love so that I focus on doing the mundane tasks while you focus on the things that you love, because with the business, it can be really difficult, when you're having to do those mundane things that you don't like as much, such as the organizing or the cleaning out your emails or scheduling your calendar or scheduling meetings, or even just having to like follow up with people, then you can hire a virtual assistant with that. Like I was saying earlier with my emails that I send out after people podcast. I'm sure there's a virtual assistant out there that will send out the emails to all of the people that I've done podcast interviews with, and they'll send those out. And then you also have, I don't want to say it's a virtual assistant, so I have transitioned into more of just public relations and like educating small business owners and solopreneurs um on public relations, but they're like podcast managers per se. Some people would consider them, a virtual assistant. So it also just depends on what you want to be called and how you want people to recognize you in your field, because a podcast virtual assistant and a podcast manager could be possibly doing the same thing, but it's what title they're choosing to go by. And so you just have to, if you're in need for a virtual assistant, the first thing that you would want to do is decide what tasks are holding me back from being able to show up as my full authentic self in my business. And what task if I get rid of this, will I be able to focus more on something else and focus on what it is that I love? So then you need to write out those tasks. And then once you write out those tasks, you need to determine, okay, do I need one virtual assistant? Do I need two virtual assistants? Am I going to be okay with someone who is a unicorn virtual assistant who can handle all this? Or do I think that that's going to be too much on them? Would I rather have one person strictly focusing on my podcast while another person's just strictly focusing on getting my business organized, and someone else is focused on sending out my emails, whatever? So you need to think about that. And you also need to think about your budget for it as well, because virtual assistants are not cheap. So you definitely need to factor in, budgeting. And a lot of people think, with a virtual assistant, it's again going back to what we were talking about earlier about how, as a small business owner, it's like, do I need the CRM or do I need the system? Do I need this other system over here? So again, with the virtual assistant, okay, if I hire out a virtual assistant, will that allow me more time to generate stuff that's going to bring in a revenue? Like, am I gonna get a return on my investment in a virtual assistant?
Well, thank you. That was an amazing explanation. And I will say, I have a virtual assistant. Her name is Risa. Shout out to Risa. She is my podcast editor. I went to her for something entirely different. I was exploring doing some marketing in Facebook groups, and she was talking about that, and that was a skill she had as a virtual assistant. And we started talking and we got to know each other. And she said, "Oh, I do podcast editing." And I said, "That's what I really need. I'm really looking to launch my podcast, but I want to add music. I want to do extra things to it." And she has taken it over and done an amazing job. And she's part of my team. I'll send her an email and I'll say, "What do you think about this subject matter?" And she'll get back to me, and she'll say, she has an opinion about stuff, and it's
Mm.
so wonderful. She's part of the team. So shout out Risa. Woohoo.
Yay, shout
Um
out to Lisa.
yeah, so I highly recommend, I loved what you said about, finding what offloading what task will allow you to show up as your true self in your business.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I said it earlier. I said, with Canva, when I first interacted with Canva, I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hire someone to do Canva." I really thought that I was going to have to hire a virtual assistant to do all my Canva. And it turns out I'm amazing at it.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
me too. Me too. Yes.
but if I wasn't, there's someone out there who is
Mhm.
and would be happy to be part of my team.
Right. Right. And I wanna bring up another point too that you said is that you mentioned the word team, and so also with, like, a virtual assistant, keep in mind too that a lot of times they have their own businesses. So yes, they are a part of your team, as Maria said, but they're also a part of someone else's team
That's
as
true.
well. So you also that's something else that you need to take into consideration is okay, do I want a virtual assistant who I'm going to be their only client? And if so, am I willing to pay that? Or do I want a virtual assistant who may have anywhere from 5 to 6 clients at a time? And so you'll also need to think about how many hours will you need a virtual assistant? Because usually they have packages where you get 5 hours of work per week for X amount of dollars, or you get 30 hours per month. And in the contract, it'll they can use that 30 hours however they want to, So if they feel like doing 6 hours on one day and nothing on the next day, they will. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. Is this someone that you need to show up for you every single day? If so, you probably want to look into finding a virtual assistant who only has who you're going to be their only client for the duration of the contract, or you just needing someone for a couple hours a week, then someone who has multiple clients at a time may be the best option for you.
That's a really good tip. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, I want to just wrap this up by asking you, what is your best piece of organizing advice for a business? Usually I ask like my 3 questions, but you were on recently on the podcast, and we already did the 3 questions, and I already asked you your best organizing tip. So what is your best organizing tip for a business?
My best organizing tip for a business, I would go back to finding out the tasks that you do that are repetitive and getting those set up to automate, or getting those set up so that you're not so if it's not something that you have to do every day, so that you're not doing it every day, and that when the time comes to do it, it's as simple as possible and you can be done with it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I really like that. Automation is so important. And templates, it like what you were
Yes.
saying, like setting up a template, doing it, when I have professional organizing is very seasonal. We're coming into spring right now when we're recording. So I'm getting more clients, more people are contacting me because they want to do spring cleaning, spring organizing. But during the summer, it's not as busy because people are hot, they're vacationing, they don't want to work as hard. Um, December is like a wasteland. Nobody wants to organize during December.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So, because you have your Christmas ornaments up, everybody's getting ready, the holidays, that kind of thing. Nobody's thinking about an organizer. But come January, everybody wants an organizer. I'm so
Right.
busy in January and February. So, on the times that are traditionally low key where I don't have clients, I don't freak out. I just say, I'm going to work in my business and I'm going
Yes.
to set up automation. I'm going to set up templates. I'm going to write emails. I'm going to lean a little harder into email marketing. I'm going to think about uh some Canva designs that I can set up for automation a couple months down the line so I don't have to work so hard when I'm busy with clients. Things like that. I can set up my content calendar for the podcast. Things like that. So I'm working in my business on the times when I'm not working on my business.
Right. Exactly. I love that. It's like you said, so you're already set up and ready to go when it happens and you're not freaking out. And I guess that would be another little tip too as well. Sorry, giving another tip here, but
I'll take it.
prepare go ahead and prepare. If you know something is coming up, go ahead and get prepared for that. So, like you said, you know when your busy seasons are. So, don't wait until the busy season to be like, oh, I need to go out and get this. I have to go out and get that. I need to prep to get this. No, go ahead and have that ready and have that prepped to go. Or if you're launching, if you're someone who does courses or something like that, and you're getting ready to launch a course, go ahead and have everything laid out and prepared that you need to launch that course so that you're not scrambling around trying to figure out what to do or how you're going to do it. Go ahead and get it together.
No, I agree. Be organized.
Yes, be organized. Yes. Be prepared, be organized.
So, one of the things that we talked about before we got started, instead of the three questions, what would you recommend right now? What are you crushing on? What would you recommend? What is your favorite thing right now?
Oh, my favorite thing right now is, so I do enjoy listening to other people's podcasts. So I have two podcasts that I keep on repeat. One is called Slay Girl Slay. It's an inspirational, motivational type podcast. And then the other one is a true crime podcast called Check the Locks. So those are my yeah, those are my two things that I'm crushing on. And there's this game on my phone too that I play. It's actually called 10 Crush. So I will go through spurts where like I'm addicted to it and I'm just like on it all the time, and then I'll get stuck and then I'll get mad and I'll put it down for a day or two, but I always come back to it. So, and of course coffee, like I can never forget about coffee. Definitely always
So,
crush on coffee.
so much coffee. Oh my gosh.
Yes, all the coffee, give it to me, please.
So my new thing, that it's such a bad habit that I have, coffee, obviously. I
Of
drink a
course.
couple of cups of coffee in the morning, but then around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a Celsius, which is,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
it's an energy drink.
Mhm. Mhm. I know.
Oh.
Just yeah. Listen, you get no judgment from me. And it's funny because I was talking to someone earlier and they was like, oh, I'm about to go get some coffee. And then it's like, no, I'm gonna get a Celsius. And I was like, oh, I was like, those aren't my favorite. I was like, it gives me a headache. And they was like, oh, drink water first and then drink that. And I was like, oh wait, I was like, that's not the one that gives me a headache. I was like, it's another one. But I mean, I honestly I can't judge you. I would do like first coffee and second coffee, and like first coffee would have like 5 shots of espresso in it, and then second coffee would usually have like 3 or 4, and then in the afternoon, I would do, like a Lotus energy drink, and then I got hooked on actually I hooked on the Starburst, energy drinks 'cause it was so, so good, so I would have that, and I've cut back a lot, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
think I think that's why we're friends. I think that it
yeah,
takes a lot of caffeine to keep us going,
it
and
does.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. Like this morning, my son was like, I just wish all the caffeine in the world would just disappear because I mean, I keep telling you, you drink too much of it. I said, well, I wish YouTube kids would disappear because you watch too much of it and I'm tired of it. I was like, at least my caffeine intake, you don't have to hear my caffeine intake. Like I have to hear your YouTube kids. So yeah,
Caffeine makes me less murdery.
you know, I don't know if he's at the age for me to explain that to him, but I have some like caffeine makes mommy happy and it makes her less grumpy. And he's like, he just kind of looked at me and I felt judged, tired of being judged by an 8-year old. But
So where
yes.
can people find you online and on the social links?
My website address, and I'm currently, I was gonna say remodeling. Oh my goodness, you got me thinking about houses. I am currently updating my website, but you can still go to it. I have some links available on there. It's the modcosc.com. And then my Instagram and my Facebook are the same, the modcosc.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm gonna get better about posting on there. So just my name, Angel Wilborn. And then you'll be able to find my business page from my name, which is the Modest Company LLC.
Yeah, and I highly recommend checking out the Modco podcast, which is
You.
wonderful. And I don't know how you do it, but you come through with 2 podcasts a week.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to cut that down. Yeah. I'm getting ready to come up. The 16th of April will be the 1 year anniversary of me starting the podcast. And I'm like, I love doing the 2 episodes a week, but it's getting to be a bit much. So I think that I'm gonna drop it back down to 1 episode. Yeah. Yeah.
No shame, no judgment. No.
I got a little over ambitious there, and and that's part of organizing, realizing when you're doing too much and you're like, okay, I have to scale it back so that I can bring you quality content by being organized and being refreshed. So quality over quantity.
I
So
love that. I was gonna
yes,
say quality over quantity. That's
yes,
important. Well,
yes.
thank you so much for joining us today. Really amazing tips, and I am going to go check out Asana. I think that is a really great tip. Really interested in checking out the free site and seeing if that works with my brain and seeing if I can manage projects on Asana.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, and please let me know what you think about Asana and how you like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for listening today. I appreciate it. And namaste. Take care, everybody.